Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Beer and Brands from Brand Federation. I'm Matt Williams, managing partner, along with our CEO and founder, Kelly O'Keefe, and along with a very special guest, which is our friend and other partner, Rian Chandler-Dovis, who's visiting us from her home in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So,
thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome. We're all incredibly envious of the life you lead. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it really
Did you say it's disgusting?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
In all the best ways.
In all the best ways.
We are filled with envy.
We are filled with envy. So we're going to hear more about that. We're coming back after a little bit of a summer hiatus. So have you guys had good summer vacations?
I've had a great time. I went to Paris. I went to England. It was,
Yeah.
and of course, all I did was spend time studying brands over there.
And Ryan, you spent your summer at home because there's no better place than where you live.
That's right. No better place than home.
That
It
is amazing. Very
100%
cool. So
correct.
we're really happy to be back. We're back today to talk about one of those rare occasions where the world kind of comes together and converges. And what I'm talking about is the convergence of all the things we get excited about. Beer, brands, right? And remote work and what that means for company productivity, company culture, and interestingly, in a piece of news that came out yesterday, which we'll go deeper into, what it can mean for a particular brand that's inextricably linked to remote work. We will talk about that in a minute. We're coming to you today from Vossen Brewery in Scotts Addition, which is one of our all-time favorite places to be. The beer's awesome, the place is super cool, and there's something unique about the vibe.
Look at the grandma chairs. I mean, you want to be here.
Super comfortable chairs. We love that. But there's a welcoming kind of feel to this place that's really fun. And if you don't follow Vossen Brewing in social media, you should find them on Instagram, and you'll instantly get a sense of what we're talking about in terms of the vibe of the place. It's really, really cool. So come to Vossen when you can, and we'll cheers to their vibe and their beer and everything about this place. It's great. So let's talk about one of our new content initiatives at Brand Federation. This is our opportunity to do a little self-promotion. And it's one that Ryan has been passionate about for a long time, and it just launched, and we call it the Huddle.
That's right.
Tell us about the Huddle, Ryan. What is it?
Awesome. So the Huddle was a concept that we came up with because our brand at Brand Federation has been so centered around we are so passionate about the brands we create and about what organizational brand strategy can do for companies. And as a reflection of that, we believe living organizational brand strategy means ourselves really knowing our brand. And a big part of our brand and our mission has been we want to do the best work. We want to write the best strategies in the world. And to do that, we need to get the best people the most motivated possible. And in order to do that, what we've found is when people are able to live their best lives, the most fulfilling lives, the lives that they want to live, they do their best work, they bring their best selves to work, they're passionate about the work that they do, and ultimately we're able to do the very best job at helping to guide organizations and strategies. So kind of bringing that mission and that belief about fulfilling lives lead to fulfilling work, and that's part of what we do at Brand Federation is live that and showcase that, and therefore we can write the best strategies. We started talking to people about what their fulfilling lives looked like when they worked for us. As Matt mentioned, I live where I want to live, my favorite place on earth, Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. It's brought so much joy and health and
like Richmond.
Yeah.
RBA.
You love Richmond, that's your happy place, and I live in my happy place. And living in my happy place, other people shared their happy places and their stories, or when they decided to move to their happy places and they were working with us, or sometimes they were partners of ours or just people we knew in the industry that said, hey, that's right, I believe that too. Fulfilling lives lead to better work. And here's my story about how my career got better when my life became the thing that filled me up and left me full when I went to work and was passionate about things and able to bring that passion and able to bring that energy to my work. So the Huddle is those conversations. It's conversations with people in the Brand Federation family. It's conversations with partners. It's conversations with friends in the industry that have a like-minded view about the way that life and work should integrate and feed each other to make us all our best selves. And we love it. I mean, it's so much fun. You can find us. It's a podcast. It's on all the normal podcast channels out there. And I hope it helps more people sort of live their best lives and do their best work and bring those things together in the way that is, we have sort of a unique opportunity to lean into today.
I love that. And what I love is working with so many people on our team at Brand Federation who are living in places that are, I was going to say cooler than Richmond. I'm not going to say that. Richmond is cool.
That are as cool as
That are
Richmond.
as
Anyway.
cool as Richmond, whether that's Cabo San Lucas or Amsterdam or Mexico City or San Francisco. And we have been able to create this wonderful, eclectic community, but also we've been able to recruit people from anywhere in the world who just happen to do great work and don't want to live where we live. And it's been liberating to the business. It's improved the quality of our work. It's improved the quality of our relationships. And I think it's just a great revelation that we're all able to work in new ways and work with anyone, anywhere, anytime they want to be working.
I love that. I mean, actually, we just had a consultant that we haven't been working with lately, but we have in the past. I won't call her out by name, but reach out to us. And she recently moved to her happy place, and she wrote us this email just expressing the joy she has living there and how much it's enhanced her work and the exciting work she's doing, and just reminding us how much she loves working with us. So it's great to see that spreading, and it's spreading within the family, and it's spreading outside of the family, and it's leading to better work, better thinking, just better all around world.
This is a conversation you would never have had 4 years ago. I mean, it would never occur to us running a company to think, wow, how can we help people live their best lives by letting them live wherever they want to and work more flexibly and have more autonomy over their own time and the work that they decide to do. That was never part of the conversation. We always wanted the companies we built and ran to be positive parts of people's lives, but it was always within these narrow confines of, as long as you're in the office from Monday through Friday, how do we make the office better? How do we make sure that more people want to move to Richmond to work at company XYZ? All those rules are out the window. And it's got to be COVID, obviously, that kind of launched us into that place. And there were some awful things about COVID, obviously, but maybe there was a good thing. Maybe this is one of the good things, that it made us rethink work in a way that actually can broaden and tear down some of the boundaries and constraints that work operated under in new ways.
Yeah, I think almost all crises are catalysts to change.
Yeah.
And often that change has been brewing in a quiet way behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then you have this crisis that engages all of us, whether that was the Great Depression and changes that happened, or World War II, or the Great Recession in 2008, and things change as a result of that impact. Some rules get broken, and they never get put back together again. And I think COVID took what we all thought was the playbook for how businesses work. 9 to 5, there are songs about it, there are movies about it. 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, that's how the template works. We all come to the office together, whether we're in an office or a cubicle or a retail place of business. And COVID just took that and shredded it.
Yeah, sure.
And at first, I think a lot of businesses felt uncertain. Like, oh my God, I don't have rules anymore. What am I supposed to do with this? I have different people who have different needs and different wants, and they want to live in different places, and I've never had to deal with this before. But some businesses, and I'd like to think ours was one of those, thought, no rules. How, maybe because we're a bunch of anarchists, but we just thought, no rules, awesome. That means we can do anything we want to do, anything that we think is the right thing to do, and it's been very liberating.
Yeah, and really, I mean, on the catalyst point, we started with this idea before COVID. COVID just helped us fuel spreading it because more people got it quicker.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it opened up the world of people who maybe hadn't thought about that until they were pushed into thinking it for COVID, even though we were thinking about it before. And it gave us a chance to work with so many more people who had been triggered to think about that option in their own lives that they hadn't thought about before.
It's also extended beyond our own workforce, because we have clients that are very confident about interacting with us, getting great work done, having great relationships. It's not just email, it's great relationships.
Yeah.
But we have not met in person. We just launched, and you can check it out. Radius Recycling, a brand new name for a 100-year-old company, a remarkable company, and we know them well. We did a ton of work with them. We've launched this whole new exciting brand. We have never actually had an in-person meeting, and it really doesn't matter. That's becoming the norm in our world.
Yeah.
And we're happy to meet with people. We're not anti-meeting with people one-to-one, but it's no longer a necessity. The rules, again, have gone away, and we can make up new rules.
I would argue actually that some of the in-person moments have actually more power now than they used to have, because we're developing relationships all along, and then when we get together, we make more of that moment. I mean, we had an employee say to us, because we just got together physically as a company, we had a moment of getting together. And one of our employees, having worked with us for 2 years, said that they had never been, and worked for a lot of big agencies, big consultancies, never been in a work culture where they felt as close to the people they work with as they do now. And yet many of those people they had never been in the same room with before yesterday. That was the coolest comment I had going into that meeting, was that moment of getting together meant so much more to everyone in that room, because they've been developing these relationships for years, but now they get to hug each other, and now we had to get to make a few memories that we've been talking about in the months and years to come. So really cool stuff.
That's really cool. So this kind of conversation is the kind of conversation you'll hear more of with Rian and her guests on the Huddle. So check it out. It's a really interesting way to think about how the opportunities in this world where we can live our best lives and do our best work are huge and amazing, and maybe great in ways we hadn't all considered. So.
In marketing terms, did we just do a cross promotion? Is that
or an infomercial.
or an infomercial?
An infomercial.
I think it might have been an infomercial.
No, we're going to run this at 2
Ron
a.m.
Popeil here. We're going to show you the blender, the chopper, but whatever it was that he did.
What would you pay?
That's right. Anyway, so it begs the question, what was I talking about when I said things are converging? One of those things that's converging is the Huddle. The Huddle is all about remote work and living your best lives out of the office, doing the work you want to do the way you want to do it. In the news today, over the last 24 hours, that a brand that is inextricably linked with remote work, and it's the brand Zoom, right? The technology company that runs the remote meeting software that we've all grown to love or hate, depending on the day we're talking about it, has announced that it wants all of its employees to come back to the office in what they call a structured hybrid mode, which means 2 to 3 days a week, I think, right? In an unbelievable stroke of corporate irony.
Yes.
It literally is unbelievable. When you think of Zoom, if you are in this field, which everyone is to some extent since COVID, where remote work is a significant part of how you interact, how business is done, then Zoom is sort of the king brand in that whole world. Like it's risen above. There are other great tools out there, Teams, Google, but there's nothing like Zoom in terms of creating a platform for students, for professionals, for families to be able to interact with each other in very meaningful ways from a distance. They kind of own that space. And for them to turn their back on their own customers, I'll tell you from my own case, it feels like a betrayal.
I agree. I mean, so much of what we talk about when we talk about brand isn't something that we sit around a table and come up with for our clients. Brand has to be intrinsic. That's a word that Kelly has used a lot in his career. It has to be natural. And Zoom lucked out. They have a very powerful, very intrinsic brand born of their product. And we were bought into that. We felt like they were allies that believed what we believed and believed in the possibilities in the future and what work could become and what productivity could look like and how people could connect over distances and have it all. The lives they want, the families they want, the careers they want. This feels like such a betrayal of that I'm starting to think, are they the right part? I thought they were the right partner for us because of what we believe. And now I feel like maybe not.
Yeah, I think they probably still are the right partner, and I don't want to judge them by one misstep, but it's definitely a misstep.
Yeah.
But it's something I think bigger than a misstep. It's a missed opportunity.
Yes.
This is a company that maybe they were having legitimate issues in terms of internal work versus external work in their own company. I get that. But this is the company that should invest in solving that, in developing tools that help them to make sure that they can get all the productivity they want, all the community, culture, and interaction they need to run a viable business and do it remotely. Because this is a company, I think, and a brand that's not just about a tool or a set of tools. It's about the freedom that comes with being able to work from wherever you are, with anyone else, anywhere in the world, and be extremely productive. And it literally is part of changing the way that we work and rethinking the way that we work. And what a wonderful thing that they could own. It's work without limits.
That's an interesting point. The betrayal to me is, it's less of a betrayal than it is a disappointing kind of capitulation on the part of the brand to say this thing that I've become the icon brand to solve the problem of, which is how do we manage productivity and become more productive in a remote environment. I am the brand more people look to solve that problem. I'm Zoom. That's what I do. It feels like the company has kind of gone, I can't really do it. 2 days a week. It's a give up. It's a surrender.
Throwing in the towel.
It's a surrender.
And it felt like they were headed in that direction. I mean, it isn't just video conferencing that Zoom has owned into this point. They've just come out with great whiteboard tools. And we know some other technology exists. I mean, we use
chat technology that's similar to Slack.
Exactly. We use Read AI that actually gives us productivity scores on meetings. If productivity is the problem we need to solve, there's great technology out there. And much like other things Zoom has integrated, they could integrate that great technology. But it seems like instead of thinking about it or leveraging or merging or doing whatever, they gave up on
kind
us.
of pulled back into the old world when they were the ones we were trusting to push us into the new one.
The new one, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. If I were the CEO of Zoom, I'd probably be sitting here going, oh my God, give me a break, guys. Give me a break. Businesses work better when there is at least periodic face-to-face contact between people, right? And even though I'm Zoom and I'm built to facilitate remote work, I don't want to deny the basic human truth that we work face-to-face. We work in different ways face-to-face, and I want to allow that to happen in my company, regardless of the product that I make. Like, what would you say to me if I made that argument?
Well, Zoom is face-to-face.
We're having a Zoom meeting. Now Zoom can say we're having a Zoom meeting whether you're using the software or not.
Yeah. I think, I understand there is value with being able to connect with other people more for the celebration of the joy of having great relationships than for any particular business need. I really don't think there are strong business needs. Now, I want to be mindful that we have a lot of people out there who work in the world of retail. They have to be physically present.
Yeah,
we have a lot of people out there who work on the factory floor.
Right.
They have to be present, and I don't want to be ignorant of that fact or to suggest that we're not conscious that in some cases, medical professionals, et cetera, it really is important for you to be physically in proximity with the others that you work with. But in a lot of business, you don't have to be. So what I would say to that CEO is lean back in to the core of what makes your business amazing. Lean back into that empowerment that you have created that allows limitless work. Literally, any place, any time, from any location, we can collaborate and we can be productive. Lean into developing even more tools that can help us to manage and monitor that if that becomes difficult. Tools that can help us to conceive concepts together through brainstorming and other things. But don't give up on the fact that this workforce is changing and you have the potential to be the leader, the leading brand in the new workforce. I don't know why you'd give that up.
I think there's another audience that we haven't really chatted about yet that at the very least must be feeling disappointment and at the very most is feeling betrayal. And that's got to be their employees. I mean, one thing we talk about a lot is the future of deciding the career that moves you and moving towards goals career-wise will have a new question in it, which is, how do I prefer to work? And for people who prefer to work in person, that will lead them towards certain careers or certain businesses, and that's great. And for people who find themselves much more productive and much more healthy in a home environment or in another environment, that also will lead their decision making. I have no doubt that people within Zoom decided to work for Zoom because that's how they prefer to work.
Yeah.
And at this moment, they probably feel extremely betrayed by
Like,
this.
where else could I go and have a level of certainty that I can work remotely?
Exactly.
Other than
God.
I mean, they must feel like the floor was pulled out from under them. And something we talk about all the time when it comes to brand is how important, right after we've codified a conviction of a company, we talk about how to roll that out in your culture.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of work to do. That CEO has a lot of work to do building culture back up around this decision. And my guess is that culture was part of the driver for this.
Yeah.
And so there's a hole, there's a problem they haven't solved. And maybe they haven't solved it internally. And maybe it's a problem that others of us have dealt with. We have, I think, built an extremely strong culture online, and I'm very proud of that. But some people have struggled with that. And isn't that like such an opportunity for Zoom to start being a thought leader, to start developing new products and services, but more than anything, to be driving the culture that is probably why 90% of the employees wanted to work there in the first
Yeah,
place.
right. It's a great point. And maybe they figured out how to explain this paradox internally.
Maybe.
Well, they need to take that outside because everybody outside, like us, is a little confused by this. It feels like behavior that's inexplicably at odds with the fundamental promise of this brand.
Yeah.
And if we think about it from a brand strategy standpoint, right? Like, what's the effect on the equity of Zoom when this announcement comes out? What do you think of them as a brand now?
Yeah, it feels less consistent. It feels like they're talking the talk and not walking the walk.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean anymore now,
Yeah.
right?
And again, I feel like, okay, so you're just a tech company. You're not about the future of work. You don't actually believe in this concept of the liberation of the workforce that is such a cool thing happening right now.
Yeah, that's the missed opportunity then.
Yeah.
Is to do what we try to help all brands do and what all brands should try to do, which is elevate beyond the function of their product to a statement of belief that encompasses that product, that elevates that product, but also can go beyond it, far beyond it into the world, the effect you want to have on the world.
Yeah.
I think
And it's going to be
that's
hard to have that effect on the world if you're Zoom now, because your behavior will prevent you. Your behavior will prevent that from being a credible claim.
Yes, and I think the tangible outputs of what it means to have that belief start to fall apart. So your culture falls apart. Yes, we just talked about that. But also, I'm not sure I trust them to be bringing product innovations to the table anymore. Like, if they couldn't solve this problem and if this is happening, it actually makes me start to think maybe they're not as cutting edge as some of their competitors. Maybe those guys are going to do a better job solving problems because they obviously didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it's such a fascinating kind of conversation. Many of you may follow Kelly on LinkedIn. You probably saw his post about this, which is what prompted us to have this conversation, because there were some replies to it that were super interesting. And we'd love for you to weigh in on it. Weigh in on it here in the comments on this video. Go to any one of our LinkedIn sites. We're going to Kelly's post about it on Brand Federation. Give us comments. We really want to know what you hear. It's a developing story. I mean, I'll admit that I haven't quite fully formed my opinion about it, but it's starting to gravitate more toward yours, because I was starting to push back and think, oh no, you guys are kind of blowing this into implications it doesn't necessarily have to have. But I'm starting to come around that in the absence of a compelling explanation for this, it feels so obviously contradictory to what this brand can or should stand for. Like, at the very least, you botched the announcement.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have explained
One of the comments on my LinkedIn page said that they saw the article and thought it was from The Onion. I mean, that's how inconsistent it is. So yeah, check it out on LinkedIn. And the other thing I'll say, if for any crazy reason times are very slow and the CEO or leadership of LinkedIn are watching this, I meant the CEO of Zoom, and you want to talk about this, pick up the phone and let's talk about it, because I would love to understand your point of view and maybe even support it in a future show here. So reach out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So-
We'd love to talk to you, Zoom.
That's the end of our show. We don't have any brewers to talk to because we actually talked to Vossen last time we were here.
We
and
did.
They're awesome.
They're
We've
pretty
talked to
cool.
So, but we're so happy to have Ryan here. It's so great to
be
see
here.
you face to face, because
Yeah.
face to face still matters. We know
does.
that.
In special
Um,
moments.
And it gives you a chance to gloat about living in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
I always love a
Richmond
little
is
chance to
still
gloat.
pretty cool. But like I said, please leave us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think about this conversation. It's really, really interesting, and it's a situation that's evolving in real time, and that makes these conversations even more fun. But thanks to all of you, as always, for joining us on Beer and Brands. We're going to be back on our monthly cadence now that we've had our summers off. Thank you for joining us. We will be back with another edition of Brand Federation's Beer and Brands in about a month. Till then, take care.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.